Hello, everybody. I hope you're having a great day. Um, Different vibe tonight. We're gonna discuss some things about the movement known as Black Lives Matter. And yeah, I've been doing a little bit of research, a little bit of studying, and I hope that you guys enjoy today's discussion. It's gonna be a good one. As always, I bring my guest on. My man Anthony is here. I'm trying to have a couple other guests as well, but for sure, my two automatic guests that are always going to be on, Anthony and Patrick. Let me bring them up. Say what's up, fellas.
What up, everybody? What's going on? Anthony Michael Russo from Be the Change.
Hello, everybody. It's me. Good to see you. Welcome back.
All right. So, interesting freaking topic today. First off, before we get into it, I don't know how many of you guys have been watching what's going on. Streetlights is making some real good headway. I had a meeting with the mayor. Went fantastic. Actually looking at the land of which we're going to build the foundation. The Streetlights Unity Community is going to be amazing. So I'm going to talk to him about that. It is going to be built right here in Lake Station where I'm at. And I've really took a stand here in this community, and a lot of exciting things that I have not shared with anyone yet because I can't, but I'm going to share that with you Thursday after Wednesday, because Wednesday is a very profound day and a lot of things are happening that I'm excited for and I cannot wait to talk to you guys about, but I got to wait for it. Other than that, yeah, I want to jump right on in to this discussion. How much do both of you know factually about Black Lives Matter? Let's start with you, Russo.
Yeah, I've done a decent amount of research. I first off want to state that I believe that Black Lives Matter a lot.
Me too.
But the actual organization from a back end perspective scares me a bit, and from the way that they as a group are divisive. That, and then a lot of their actual fundraising. First off, they're really not a charity; they're a corporation, and
Thanks.
I know a decent amount. And I disagree with the organization of the movement. Is the best way to phrase a longer statement than I need to say.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Pat. What you think about him? How much do you know about him? Not even what you think. How much do you know factually about Black Lives Matter?
I know a fair deal as well. Something I looked into a long time ago, and ever since getting involved here, and one of your videos, I looked back into it to see if anything had changed, and it's all still pretty much the same. It is a corporation, some of the things that, Anthony was saying. And it's, it's funny that even having this conversation, we have to say, of course, Black Lives Matter, right? And we have to start with that. And but I mean, because it does. But no, I absolutely do not support the organization itself, due to the fact that, everything that I do know for fact is, and also the idea that they can divide a community the way that they do, and
Yes.
it's counterproductive, and so
Okay, I agree. I'm gonna go ahead and read something to you guys because I've been digging into Black Lives Matter. And if you're wondering, like, man, Cash seems like he's just picking on Black Lives Matter. I am. I want to go ahead and make that clear. I am. I am firmly against Black Lives Matter. Totally against Black Lives Matter. Not the lives, because Black lives do matter to me tremendously. But they don't matter any more or any less than anyone else's life. So let me get that straight. I am against the organization or the corporation, whatever you want to call it. But let me read this to you guys. So the three founders, Alicia Garza, Patrice Cullors, and Opal Tometi, I believe. This was created in 2013 in response to the acquittal of Trayvon Martin's killer, George Zimmerman, which, by the way, we all think that dude should have got his day. You know what I mean? I disagree with what happened with Trayvon. It was horrible. He's a kid. I hate it. Okay, let me just start off with that. They created this in response to that, and when they created it at that time, it was a beautiful movement. I agreed with Black Lives Matter as a movement at that point in time when they first started out. So I kept reading about Black Lives Matter, the movement, into the current day. Now, I want to share this. Listen to this, okay? You guys are going to be like, whoa, really? Watch this. The project is now a global network, 40 chapters. Build on community. Hear this.
Hold on, you're cutting
vigilantes.
out, Cash.
Yeah. Cut out real bad, brother.
Yeah. Start right when you were about to start reading, all of a sudden it got a little digital. I think he's frozen.
He is indeed.
Good?
No, not good.
Am I good?
No, pop yourself in and out.
Can you hear me?
Nope.
Can you make sure that
Get him off the Xbox.
1 second.
You're good.
No
One
Wi-Fi
second,
for
guys.
you
I'm
guys.
sorry. I got a lot of Xbox.
While he's fixing, while Cash is fixing, if we got going back to Trayvon Martin, and that's when Black Lives Matter started. And I know he's about to read more of the charter and what they're doing now. The Trayvon Martin thing was the beginning of the end of media as we know it, and in terms of being honest in any way, shape, or form. Trayvon Martin didn't deserve to die, but there was also no reason to, and they did it again with Michael Brown, there was no reason to show a 13-year-old version of Trayvon Martin to imply that he was a child in any way, shape, or form.
Hold on.
What's up?
Can everybody hear us? Because they're saying that you're frozen. I think that they're cutting me out, to be honest with you. I think every time I mention Black Lives Matter, it gets a little choppy because I already had the kids get off the internet and everything.
All right, no, you're smooth. You're smooth.
Hey, John Tisha, just so you know, I see you. I'm going to bring you in a minute.
Okay.
So you know. Okay. You guys can all hear. Okay, listen, check this out. I got to get this out. Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
It is a project that is now member-led, and it's a global network of more than 40 chapters. The members organize and build local power to intervene in violence inflicted on the Black communities by the state and vigilantes. Y'all hear that, right? So before I go any further with that, I see that they attack the police for violence or police brutality, but it says here, and vigilantes. When I think of vigilantes, I think of Batman. But I think what they are talking about is people in the community, right? Yet, I have not heard of one time where they have came to a community that has a community killing the community. Not once are they against the violence in the communities inflicted by the communities. Not one time, not one instance. I've been looking it up. I've been trying to find it. They only come out when it's a problem with police or it's a problem with some state representatives and it's always with white police. I haven't even seen them come out when a black cop, because this happens too, when a black cop kills a black man. I haven't seen it. Have any of you guys seen it? No?
You're still running.
No, sir.
Don't that make you think a little bit? When I came to this protest that was out here in Lake Station, heard the guy, and you guys seen when I was out there, I stayed respectful. I didn't intervene. I didn't say anything about what they were doing to them. I had my own opinion. I kept it quiet on my live, and I held my peace. I wanted to rip him. Because the bullshit that he was speaking. Excuse my language, but I'm a little upset today about this stuff that I'm reading. I'm a little bothered. And the reason why I'm bothered is because when I was at that protest, now, of course, Black Lives Matter, right? This dude's up here and he gets to going. They give him the mic and he's acting meek the whole time until he gets the mic. And then it's fuck the police. The first words that he comes out of his mouth. Now, I don't know how everybody else feels that's a part of the Black Lives Matter organization, but if you could have been there that day, fuck God and his prayers was the words that came out of the man that was leading the charge for Black Lives Matter where I'm from. Now, is Black Lives Matter an atheist organization? I'm not sure. I have no idea. But for him to say that makes me believe that they only came out, and mind you, the guy's not even from the city. Nobody that was there protesting was from the city. They were from other cities that came to a town where there is no police brutality, where there is no racial divide, and came out and caused conflict, or tried to cause conflict. But the people of this city in Lake Station are a little more smart than, whoa, that's a big old mosquito. That's scary. Your life doesn't matter, and I'm gonna get you. Yeah, that happened. But yeah, they literally brought different people from different places to come out to the city and try to cause chaos. And the first words that come out of his mouth was "fuck the police, fuck God, and his prayers." That's how he led. And people just were there. They were just there. They just let it, because it was all his people. Me, that was when you could look at my face on my video. I got uncomfortable instantly. I wanted to punch him in his mouth. Being totally honest, I wanted to hit him. Because dude wasn't even from a hood. You could tell that he grew up somewhere proper, and that's fine. But why are you speaking about these issues that don't relate to you? And then bashing God. What does God have to do with your protest? What does God have to do with any of these issues that you guys say that you're faced with? Because I'm sorry, I'm not going to include myself with that, because I'm not faced with those issues. I've never been battered by the police. I've never been brutalized by the police. The police have never came and called me a nigga. You know what I'm saying? I've never been killed by the police, obviously. And I've never been targeted just because I was black by the police. In this city, I'm speaking about in Lake Station, Indiana, or in Hammond, Indiana. Never been targeted because I am black. I got targeted a lot because I was a criminal. And they knew that I was out here causing hell. And that was in Hammond. Since I've been in Lake Station, every cop I've ran into has been friendly. Overly friendly. There's a lot I want to say. I'm not going to get into it right now, but Black Lives Matter. When I hear that term now, before when they first started out, when I heard it, it inspired. It was inspiring. It's just like they're trying to shed light on the things that, because, there's a kid, they just got killed, even though it wasn't by the police, but a kid named Trayvon Martin got killed by an ignorant American. And it was horrible. That was tragic. That was messed up. And I was inspired by that group because I'm like, they're taking a stand. And they're doing it in peace. And they were respectful. And now that word, member-led, global network. They are a member-led. So now the three people that founded it, which I believe they founded it out of something beautiful when they first started. But over time, I feel that it is mutated. And they say the word hijacked. I don't know if it was been hijacked or some of the people that helped found it, that founded this, maybe got on a power trip and seen that they got so big that they can just say what they want. And then I think emotions get involved. I think emotion has got involved in it. And once you get into the spotlight, see, let me tell you something. I'm in the spotlight right now. I got the world watching me right now for this movement, Streetlights. But if it got taken away tomorrow, and people say, you know what, I'm not with this no more, and say I lost the platform, I'd go on with my life and still do what is in my heart to do. And not like grasp at every little thing to try to make myself stay relevant. And that's what I think has happened with this organization. Because they don't focus on the issues that they say that they wanted to focus on. Violence. You said you wanted to focus on violence in the state and by vigilantes in black communities, where black communities are affected. So what about all the other things that are affected in the black community by the black community? Why aren't these things being addressed? And I'm challenging everybody that's watching right now to do your homework. I want you to look into this, look into these things, and ask yourself why. Why do they only show up in certain times? Why is it always something that's got to do with race. If you really care about black people, which I don't think they do, personally, as a black man, a black American, an African American, a Moorish American, whatever you want to call me, whatever title there is for that, I don't feel that they care about black people any more than the KKK. Why would you say that, Cash? The reason why I would say that is because they're not showing up for black people all the time. It's only in a time of racial tension or political drive that I can see. And they're not uniting people under a banner of injustice, wanting to stop the injustice or to fight for black lives or anything like that. It should be you show up because you need to show up because bad things are happening in the community. They don't do that. Go ahead. Let's move it over this way, Anthony. This way. How do you feel, Anthony, about everything that I just said? Because there's more that I want to get into, but let's discuss what I just read right now about them being a member-led global network of more than 40 chapters. And they're supposed to be organizing and build local power to intervene. They're supposed to be intervening in violence that is inflicted on black communities. That's what they were made for. They were supposed to come when there was violence inflicted in the black communities by the state and vigilantes. Do you feel like that's what's being done?
So clearly not now. And we don't disagree too much. And again, this is just who we are as people and what we were raised in and what we were a part of. I have, ever since the Trayvon Martin situation, although tragic, I have thought that Black Lives Matter as an organization has already had the plan and the wherewithal and the funding to be in the position they are today. I think the two most dangerous corporations in the world are big pharmaceuticals and Black Lives Matter at this given point, because they have the ability, they have the pulse of the nation just right there on their trigger finger, and they're able to sway it with political dollars. And later in the show, I pulled up some of the PolitiFacts about where some of the funding goes and how confusing it is. And since the beginning, I believe this was part of a plan for that as an organization, because it's been funded by, it's been essentially money's been pumped in since the beginning. And I don't believe it had a catchphrase. A catchphrase without action means nothing, or without positive action means nothing. For example, be the change. I could say be the change all day, but if I'm not actually doing what is right, it's more dangerous than it is good. So everything that you just said, it's not intervening in anything like education. It's not intervening in helping get the economic and equity structure back in black communities. It is strictly reacting to anything racial that comes out, which is a powder keg in our country from a political and fiscal standpoint. And it's been that way.
Yes.
Been that way since Trayvon Martin, because again, while you were cutting out, the Trayvon Martin thing was a tragedy. It was a bad circumstance. But as some people are also saying on the side, Trayvon wasn't a great kid, and there was break-ins in the neighborhood. He shouldn't have been killed by some guy that overinflated with a gun. But again, immediately, Black Lives Matter, as they started portraying the situation as a 13 or 14-year-old boy killed by this vigilante, when it was a 17-year-old kid that had been in a lot of trouble, a 17-year-old young adult that had been in a lot of trouble, and they realized that they could play with the American psyche and start slowly but surely to divide us from this perspective of where
Zimmerman, let me just stop you there. Zimmerman was wrong because he followed the kid for
100%.
Whatever.
I agree.
He's wrong. And that kid did not have died by the hands of that man.
I agree with that part, but I don't agree with the way that all of a sudden the way that it exploded from a media and an American standpoint as a race war. It was a shitty dude that wasn't white, by the way. He just looked whiter. A shitty dude that ended up killing a kid that didn't deserve to die in that circumstance.
Right.
But they made it out to the beginning of the race wars that we are now seeing come to full fruition. So that's where I'll end on that point.
I agree with you 100%. Go ahead, Patrick. And then we're going to bring you in, John Tisha. I want your weigh in on this as well.
So when looking at the motivations for Black Lives Matter and how they were set up in the beginning in order to be able to do this, you know, one of their founders, Patrice, is admitted to being a trained Marxist. And if you look at the way that the movement has deliberately done things over the course of its, you know, or as long as it's been around, I mean, they're a destructive force. They're not about creating change. They're not about making change in any of these ways. All they want to do is destroy things and create more chaos and more havoc in the community. And what's really dangerous is people are buying into it without looking into the facts that we're talking about here. Like, where's the money coming from? You know, who's actually supporting this? What kind of movement are we really talking about? And just yesterday or Sunday, I think it was Sunday, I was reading an article that the New York chapter has a call to arms. They want Black Lives Matter protesters in the street policing police. And he literally said, this is a call to war. Like, they want to fight. They want to create more violence, more tensions. And so regardless of every individual case, and we could go back and we could look at the Trayvon Martin case, and everyone is unique and everyone is different. And we could have those discussions if we want to. But overall, the message from Black Lives Matter is the same. They want to tear down our communities. They want to make things worse, worse here for everybody. And what was the one thing he said the other day? One of the Black Lives Matter leaders,
Hawk Newsom,
either give us what we want or we're going to burn it down.
That was Hawk Newsom.
You know, like, well, here's the thing. I don't know what they want, because I mean, from what it looks like,
Control.
Black Lives Matter. Exactly. They want control, but there's no agenda. Like, what's your agenda? The agenda is to break down the fabric of our country and to create more chaos. Meanwhile, this movement that has a lot of really good people in it that think they're making a difference and doing something positive in their community is being used to fund a super PAC for the Democratic Party.
Yes.
So
100%.
By the way, really quick about Hawk, I listened to him on we're actually a little guilty, because I was at first too, of listening to the soundbite. So Fox just played the soundbite of him saying that.
Yeah, he meant it in a different light.
And then he came back on Fox, and honestly, that was, in terms of anything I've heard Black Lives Matter, he was one of the most interesting dudes I have seen speak, and I looked him up after that. And ultimately, he talks a lot about just the broken system. It's almost like his message is a little bit more pure to what the original concept of Black Lives Matter was.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that guy.
I don't either.
As well. But see, that's the thing. He's in the movement that he's with. He's supporting a movement that doesn't support his ideology. His ideology is not bad. It's just the way that, like you said, the sound clips, the way that they played it. I will never give. I'm sorry. I'm not going against what I first said. I am against Black Lives Matter, the organization, and I know that man means well. And I would love to dialogue with him, and I would love to speak with him to see how he feels about a Marxist system. If he would be okay with what his leader, apparently his boss, because she's the founder, and that's what she's, they're a part of it. I wonder how he feels about her saying that, yeah, she's a Marxist, and she wants to take Trump out and get them in, and all the things that they're saying. They become a political agenda. They got a political aim. They want to do things in politics, which means they want to reshape our country. And I don't think for the better. I think that if Black Lives Matter was to take over the country tomorrow, they might have white people in chains. That's just how I feel. That's what I feel when I hear black. I think of reverse racism.
I think it'd be worse. I think it'd be worse for black people because, as we talked about, I think the funding is coming from the very wealthy elite white that have no care for the black agenda on it. They know that they can get more power by division. So I think in the end, if some of the leaders were there, but I think based on the money, I think that it would be bad for everybody. But in the end, it would bring us back to a completely different place.
Let's bring in John.
So we have a system.
Weigh in on this.
We have a system where the media makes us all feel a certain way, and they're using us as black versus white. And then you have an organization that's politically tied that is literally profiteering off of the anger that the media is creating, and it's all generating to fund.
Oh, it's going
people that want to continue this.
I haven't even gotten through with what I want to talk to you about with Black Lives Matter. Y'all stay tuned, because there's more. There's more to why they have grown so rapidly. It's not because they think that Black Lives Matter. I'm going to show you exactly how they played on people to get the support that they have. I'm going to show you here in a little bit. John Tisha, go ahead. How you doing today, girl?
Oh, I'm good. It's been a very productive day, I would say. Right, Pat?
It's been a great day. I love your shirt, by the way.
Had to change.
Who doesn't love Johnny Cash?
I want you to weigh in. Let me know, how do you feel about the discussion so far, and what do you know factually about Black Lives Matter, and how do you feel about them as an organization?
Like you, I am fairly new to politics and movements and all of that, social movements. I'm fairly new to it, but I like to research a lot of things because I'm really big about integrity and not talking on things that I don't know about, and vice versa. You guys pretty much said a lot of those things. I made some notes so I could stay on track.
Okay.
Some of the things that I noticed, I know you had asked a question about why does BLM, why do they promote so much chaos, or why do they have so much destruction or whatnot? One thing that I noticed on their page was that the reason why they're so chaotic is because they're not on the same page. What she had said in one of the about tabs, like if you go through all of them and read through them, because I'm snoopy like that, and I like to get all the info, is that it started out with just the three women and their ideals and beliefs, which is why probably that guy was like, F the government, F police, F God and all that stuff. But I'll get there. But then, so in the writing, it says that then it started to spark interest from other Black Americans, and chapters started forming in other cities based on what they felt needed attention. So you have all of these chapters setting up across the nation with their own ideas and agendas and belief systems as to what BLM stands for and what their specific cause is. So that's why you'll see, you'll ask someone, why are you here for BLM? And they'll say this, and then you'll hear another person that say this, and then they say, we're about peace, but then the other people are saying that they're not about peace, or that they're going to be forceful, or they're going to do this. Is because there's no specific structure. It's basically, if you identify with BLM, then if you have a cause, then take BLM and go do that. And that's why there's a fire here and a fire there, and this over here and that over there. So they're very divided and chaotic and noisy and loud and just like cockroaches.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's like that. That's why the chapters are like that.
Keep going.
And then you see places. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm listening. Keep going.
Oh.
You're making some points.
And then you see places like CHOP. They are supposed to be in negotiations to take back that area. Tell me why these people are blocking the way to the precinct negotiating to give it back. If that's not political, I don't know what is. Mm-hmm. And so what's today? Monday? I think it was supposed to be done yesterday. No negotiations, like no, what did she say? I think the mayor said, I forgot the words, but basically like nothing's going to stop us. Nothing's going to stop us. And they still haven't done anything yet because they're in negotiations to give that back. So when you talk about political stuff, yes, I agree.
Makes me so mad because as Americans, we do not negotiate with terrorists. And to me, that's terroristic. You know, I was trying to be an advocate at first and give CHOP the benefit of the doubt, but seeing that everything that's been happening over there, people being killed and chaos and the vandalism of buildings of hardworking people, which is another point I'm going to bring up about the Black Lives Matter movement and the riots that happened because of the Black Lives Matter movement, about all the Black-owned businesses that was destroyed, and you got people crying, and these are supposed to be the lives that you want to save, and you say that their life matters, but they're fucking business doesn't. But that's another discussion. Keep on
Who do
going.
they help?
Go ahead, Pat.
I just said, who do they help? It's a legitimate question. Who
I
does
think-
BLM help?
I think we'll get there in a little bit.
You're damn right we will. Keep going. Go ahead.
And so I agree with Anthony. He was saying that are there some well-intentioned people who are carrying the purity of the issues? Yes, there are.
Yes.
The problem is that they're being drowned out by all of the noise and all of the chaos, and so it makes it really hard. And that again, that goes into the whole house divided by itself. That's why it's so like all over the place.
Yep.
And then the original, if you go into the original, like what is BLM about? So she talks about, I'm going to assume because I don't think it, I think.
And you froze up on us.
Do the John teacher.
In some of the
You froze up on us.
wording.
Oh, go back a second, John Tisha. Here, Cash, drop her in and out.
They're trying to get me.
Hold on.
Speak too much truth.
Come on back.
I'm back.
Let's try it again.
They're trying to get me.
We got you.
Am I back or no?
You're good.
Okay, good. Okay. So in their original thing is like they talk about. Did you know that their original like vision or whatever wasn't necessarily for Black men? It was actually for Black women.
It was for Black trans men and for Black women. I was going to get into that later. You're touching on a point that I was going to jump on. You go right.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it. You go right ahead, mama.
So for Black trans women, not necessarily men, and the disadvantages that Black women go through in the system or whatever. Then it goes on to talk about cis family structure, which is basic. I don't remember what it stands for, but I think it's like Christian structure of family or whatever, where it's a man and a woman and the children in a family structure. In their thing, they said, we advocate for or something. And the words are specifically women, parents, and children. It's not men and women. It's women, parents, and children. And so that's like a deconstruction. And I'm constantly hearing the stats about fatherless families. That specifically isn't talking about fathers in the family or in the household. So that is perpetuating this whole thing that you don't need men or we're supporting this because women could do it by themselves. And then they talk about the village that is grandparents. That's what they say. A village that is going to help the women and the parents and the grandparents raise the children and not necessarily fathers in the home. So there's the breakdown of that.
You've been studying like me, huh?
What's that?
You've been doing a little bit of studying like me, huh? Because you're hitting on so many points that I wanted to talk about tonight. Keep going. I'm not gonna stop you. You're on a roll.
Yeah, my husband does a lot of research, and like I said, I'm fairly new to all this, but since I was kind of rushed into this with you guys.
Nope. Keep going with these points.
And so that goes back into the stigma of BLM. Why? Because now we have a stigma against what racism means specifically, and also what riots specifically mean, what protests specifically mean, like what certain words, what believing in America certain means. All the meanings of things have changed and warped because of the chaos and what has been attached to them instead of the original meaning and definition. And that is a problem because now it's not an actual truth. It's multiple truths at one time that people don't want to hear or accept or understand. Let me drop it.
Good.
Cash, before you talk, can I say one thing?
Looking at them comments too?
Well, a little bit of that too. And also, and this is the big thing we talk about, is we tend to sometimes start to get in an echo chamber. So with a lot of the support, and there's some negative comments in there, but with the support that we have, everybody agreeing, now, the information that we are providing based on the research that we have done, if we interact with somebody that disagrees with us by just going right at them, it isn't going to get through.
We don't do that.
you have to really be careful with the information that is truth and that is logic, because it comes off as harsh and it's hard for people to hear. So use this as information, but not necessarily your lead in a conversation. That's all I want to say, because I know we've got a lot of people that probably want to have this discussion with all the information they're learning, but you got to do it in the right way and come in love.
Yes.
I'm not trying to come in conflict. I'm not trying to.
No. Listen. Everybody is entitled to their opinion, and this is the whole point of breaking the barriers. We have to be able to have any kind of talk that is tough and not kill each other for it, and say at the end of it, I love you, even if I disagree with your opinion or how you feel. I love you, and we're gonna keep going. That's it.
100% agree.
Okay, so check this out. Let me keep going on this. Okay, Black Lives Matter is an ideological and political intervention in a world where Black lives are systematically and intentionally targeted for demise. That's deep right there, right? It is the affirmation of Black folks' humanity, our contributions to this society, and our resilience in the face of a deadly oppression. We're deadly oppressed, okay? As organizers who work with everyday people, Black Lives Matter members see and they understand significant gaps in movement spaces and leadership. Black liberation movements in this country have created room, space, and leadership, mostly for Black heterosexual, cisgender men, leaving women, queer, and transgender people and others either out of the movement or in the background, to move the work forward with little or no recognition. As a network, we have always recognized the need to center the leadership of women and queer and transgender people to maximize our movement muscle and to be intentional about not replicating harmful practices that excluded so many in past movements for liberation. We made a commitment to placing those at the margins closer to the center. Now, did you all hear everything I just read? Now do you understand why they're so big? They appealed on people's emotions at that time, because at that time, you did have discrimination against transgender people or homosexual people. It was a big thing. Obama was passing all kinds of laws, or going into passing all types of laws to bring equality to transgender people and homosexual people and things like that. Now, I'm gonna just say this right now. Streetlights, we don't discriminate against anything that anybody is. Your sexual preference, that is your business. That is your business. And we would never fault you for that or shame you for that. I don't care who you love. That's your business, okay? I don't care how you choose to identify. That is your business. That's not my business. We're not against anybody. But at that time, when they created this group, that was the main focal point. And they had no intention on bringing men into the forefront of anything that they were doing. So it wasn't about all Black Lives Mattering. It was about equality for trans people, homosexual people, women, because they felt like women were held back, which we can all agree that at a point in time in this country, yes, women weren't getting treated the same. But again, I say we have made strides forward. They blew up real quick on all of these things. All right? They blew up real quick on all of these things because they played on emotion. And now, I got to go ahead and just call this out. Black Lives Matter. To all my people that's listening right now that are darker skinned, that are my color, okay? And to white people who are feeling guilty. All right? My brothers and sisters out there of all colors, listen to what I'm about to tell you. They are just like the media and how they think that you are stupid enough to fit the stereotype that they can play on in your mind. They think that if they show up to your city and tell you that Black Lives Matter and these crooked cops is killing us and the government hates you and we've been being held back and we're oppressed and we got to destroy the system, that you're going to run to them like they're your savior, even if they go against every single thing else that you believe. They don't give a damn about God, first off, because of the things that they say. I'm going to stand with that. They don't care. So if you're a Black Lives Matter supporter and you are a wholehearted Christian or Muslim or a Buddhist or whatever it is that you are, they think that you're stupid enough to follow their movement, who is obviously led by the air because they don't believe in God, apparently. Atheist, the one that I seen was an atheist, and he's leading the charge in his own little sect of Black Lives Matter, and expected people to jump on underneath him, under his umbrella of his truths that he feels. And they're just like the media and thinking they can play on your stereotype. If we show them this, they're going to react like this. If we say this, they're going to respond like this. They don't think you have a brain to think for yourself because they're feeding you lies. They feed you lies. More white people get killed by the police than black people. That's a statistical fact. You can look it up. So are they targeting white people? You know what I'm saying? That's just one thing. The unemployment rate, depending on which city you look at, you'll see that there are more white people on welfare than there are black people. But they'll play on your mind and tell you, oh, they want you to be dependent on their system and da-da-da. Our system isn't broken. I don't think it's broken. Can it use some work? Yeah. Does it got a couple dings in it? Yes, definitely. We need some fine tuning. You don't throw your car away just because it needs a tune up. You know what I'm saying? Don't fall for the propaganda that is spread by this hate-mongering, race-baiting movement called Black Lives Matter. Now, I don't know how true these founders are of this movement, that I don't know if their heart's still in it the way that it was when they first created it, but I want to challenge them, and I want to tell these three women, Alicia, Patrice, and Opal, turn your heart back to where it once was, because I don't believe that you three women are as hateful as your group is. I don't. I think that you started with something good and you let too many hands get in the pot and it's ruining your stew. Too many different ingredients. You got to go back to the heart that you had when you created this movement. It's a lot. You guys go ahead. Talk about it.
Anthony, are you muted?
So go ahead, Patrick.
I saw your mouth moving, but I didn't hear nothing. Oh, this is a tough subject. Cash, I agree with you 100%. You know, the movement itself is flawed in a lot of different ways. And it's unfortunate because, you know, I think I said in another show, if Black Lives Matter simply meant Black Lives Matter, I would 100% support it. But unfortunately, that's not the situation that we live in. And I'd asked earlier, like, who are they helping? And that's an important question to me because it seems like they only like to talk. They only come out when there's a black police or a white police officer that kills a black suspect, whether armed, unarmed, any number of circumstances, right? But there's a whole lot more things affecting the black community that they could come out and make and actually have the ability to make change in if they would apply the amount of momentum that they have towards something positive, rather than just continuing with the negative stuff. I would love to see them talk about the 1994 crime bill, for example, that led to a 47% increase in black-skinned Americans' incarceration rate. You know, like, Black Lives Matter. Let's fix that because that's a problem. I'd love to see them to go after the violence in inner cities. You know, interesting fact: this year in 2020, so far there have been 88 black-skinned people in this country killed by the police.
Wait a minute. Say what you just said about the incarceration. What'd you say?
So the 1994 crime bill that was written by Joe Biden and signed by President Clinton has led to, since then, a 47% increase in the incarceration rate of black-skinned Americans.
Yes. I just wanted you to say that again for the people that's listening, reading through the comments of some of the people that are here that obviously they're not for our movement, which is fine. I want you
I would love to go after that. Like, that's a subject where, you know what, we can do something about that. That's a piece of legislation that we can change. Like, let's do something about that. Like, and they have more momentum and power than anybody else. But the fact I was going to share with you is, so far in 2020, there have been 88 black-skinned Americans killed by the police. Some of them armed, some of them fighting, some of them, you know, who knows all the different scenarios in those 88 people. In Chicago, there have been 254 murders in one city, right? And Black Lives Matter has only come out this year, I believe, on eight different murders, or 8 different killings, however you want to look at it. So when you start looking at the numbers and the statistics, like, why don't we focus our energy where we can do the most good? And that's, I guess, the problem I see with a movement that is so founded in just being divisive and feeding off negativity, rather than finding a way to actually unite under a cause that actually could be really amazing. Instead, they just create more chaos in our cities. And, you know, it didn't take long for most of us to figure out where the money goes. You know, this super PAC so they fundraise a certain way, they meet the requirements of the super PAC, and that super PAC funds the Democratic Party.
That's why I got to take my hat off to that man that's the president right now, because he already put his work in towards that exact thing that you just spoke about. Which, by the way, that's whoever you guys watching. They say he's racist, but reverse that. He reversed that.
Yeah, he did come with some prison reform. But here's a fun fact for anybody in the comments watching. Look up the longest filibuster in United States of America history. And I'm not going to give you the punchline, but it's very, very telling. All right, maybe I'll tell you anyways. It was by a Democrat who was filibustering against desegregation. A Democratic congressman sat there and filibustered for over 24 hours. You know, and these are the party that is being literally fueled off of the Black Lives Matter movement.
You know, I talked with a black nationalist today, and I said, well, at the end of the discussion, I said, well, what would you want to happen? How do you feel that we fix this? You know what his answer was? Segregation. So the thing that so many people fought and died for to end, you want to bring back. And then how would you do that? So what are you telling me, that I gotta separate myself from my family because I'm black? And if you see my kids, some of them look darker and some of them look like white kids. So you're going to tell me segregation in the sense of you're going to put everybody by their skin color? So just by skin color, we're going to separate. So what about albinos? You know, I started hitting with all these things like, you got to think, man. You got to think. Not everything needs to be looked up under a microscope. Common sense. Common sense. You know what's going to happen? And this is going to sound really messed up, what I'm about to say. So I'm going to let you guys know that this is going to sound really, really messed up, what I am about to tell you, okay? You know what would happen if we segregated? I'm going to tell you. I'm just waiting to see what you guys think. I'm going to tell you what would happen if we segregated. Probably white people would live happily ever after, and everybody in the hoods would kill each other, and the good, intelligent people that live in the hoods that happen to look like me, they would suffer because of the people who don't have a brain to think that it's not okay to kill people. That's what would happen. That's what would happen. And that's a sad thing to even be able to say. But you know why I say it? Because in the hoods where I'm at, where I look every day, you can see who's dying and who's killing. 13% of the population makes up over half of the murders in our country. How is that?
On that note, Can I add something?
Go for it.
And it's more to, in communities and inner cities and areas where there might be more help. I know that there are people who are taking the time in their communities and they are helping out and they are putting in the work. There's just not enough of them. And I would encourage on that end, you stand for BLM, which is totally fine, for the purity of what that means and helping those areas make a change from the inside out, because it starts with what we teach our kids, what we speak at home, and how we are in the community around us. And I just want to acknowledge that there are people who are putting in the work, and like Cash and like Anthony and like Patrick, like you guys are. There are more people like that in the actual communities who are doing. There's just not. I feel like there's probably just not enough of them. And then if you teach other people to do the same thing, then that can essentially grow and grow and grow, and then eventually create some positive, lasting change in policy or programs or legislators, so on and so forth. So I just wanted to say that because I know some people are going to take and hear things a specific way, and that's not how I mean it.
I get you. I didn't mean exactly how I said what I said right now. I'm looking at the comments.
Yeah.
You didn't understand what I'm trying to say here. What I'm trying to say here is a lot of the crimes that, as far as murders, what I'm talking about, murders. What I mean when I say white people will live happily ever after, I don't mean like, oh, white people will be like, yes, get rid of them blacks. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you wouldn't have here. In my community, more black people kill black people than any white people, so it'd be hell on earth for the good black people that live in the communities where I come from, because they don't take part in things like murdering people that look like themselves or look like anyone else, because we have better things to do, like read and hang with our kids and all the nice things that life has to offer. But the other people that don't share in that ideology of murder's bad and you shouldn't do it, and like there's other things to do with your time, they would make the majority that is good suffer because they wouldn't care that we care. You get what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not meaning anything racial. I'm not trying to make a racial divide. I was just hitting on a point that the man said. I disagree strongly with segregation. Obviously, I am a product of integration physically. And so are my children. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not for segregation. Let me make that very clear. I am for America being America. Americans being Americans. No matter what color you are, you're an American. Okay? And I know most of you guys got it, but some of you guys did it, and that's okay. Maybe I said it wrong. But, you know, yeah, this whole thing, these discussions that we're having is mind-blowing to me that we even have to have them. First off, I can't believe that we've allowed a group get so big to where they're affecting how we view each other and how we operate on a day-to-day basis.
They're tied to the main source of programming, Cash. They're
The
tied.
media.
And so there's a comment right here that says BLM is making us fight each other due to their name choice. I don't agree with that. I think, and that's fine for you to feel that way, but Black Lives Matter, as Cash said in the beginning, had a great intention. And there is injustice in the black community over the white community. If people want to fight statistics, you're going to learn that statistics lean that way on that end. There's definite struggles, education, funding, all these different things.
Yes.
But the Black Lives Matter movement, and you don't need to go conspiracy theory full tilt and say George Soros hijacked it, but you can say things like they are tied into the media. And Black Lives Matter does only focus, as Cash said in the very beginning, only focuses on the white on black crime, which is a small overall percentage of everything. Whereas what I'm learning as I talk to more and more people is when you bring up terminology like black on black crime, it's offensive because a lot of the communities already have started doing marches, protests, teaching their kids all these different things. However, I'm going to tell you something. Patrick probably feels the same way. I don't know where John Tisha lives. I haven't even asked Cash this. We haven't heard about it.
Right.
We don't hear about any of it because our main epicenter in our heart is the media. So we have no idea that there's stuff being done. So in our mind, the power player that has all the money in the world to create actual change, which is Black Lives Matter, is choosing to focus on one small item that is a problem, but it's leaving everything behind. So Black Lives Matter we're seeing that people want to jump on the bandwagon and do the hashtags and do that. So I don't think the name is divisive. To some people, maybe. But what's divisive is the fact that if you come back at them with, but what about this death and that death and this inner city? And they respond with, you're an asshole.
Exactly.
That's why it's divisive. That's
exactly.
why.
Or you're a racist.
They will
Right.
never. Let me tell you something. They are not willing to have any talks that are not divisive. And when you say something to counteract their claims or whatever it is that they're spewing, which is bullshit, by the way, because that's all I've been hearing since the protests that I've been to, is all they spit is straight up hateful bullshit. And if I had in my...
He started speaking truth, and that's what happens.
That's all I'm going to say, because I wouldn't even allow none of it. I wouldn't allow.
Go in and out again, Cash. In out.
Well, you coming out?
Yeah, you're
Go in and out. You got to stop talking truth.
yeah.
Listen,
You're back.
listen.
Kind of. No, not quite. WTF. Try again.
Can you
No,
hold
not
on?
quite. Struggle.
Talk now.
I don't know what's
Better.
going on.
I heard you. Keep talking for a
Better?
second.
No,
There
I'm
you
better.
go.
Yeah? Okay, good.
Okay, here we go. Listen, if I was running the country, yes, you have freedom of speech. But when you run into a symbol in my city and grab a loud horn and say the thing they, well, then I'm going to tell my community, you know what? I want everybody to go and get a speaker. I'm going to pay for it from Walmart. Get the biggest one that they have and let me get the bill. And I want everybody to go outside and play the loudest music that they possibly can to drown out all the noise that these assholes are saying.
Well,
Agreed.
and
Straight up. Black Lives Matter comes to your city. They start speaking that negative stuff. I want everybody to grab a speaker or go to your car and turn the radio all the way up and let it play. Drown them out. Drown out the hate that comes out of their mouth.
So
I'm tired of it.
before we lose the feed, just in case somebody's getting angry, I want to just say something about, because I know I saw one of my friends talk about how something was disproven about the super PACs and all the money that goes to Act Blue and all that. And here's the fun fact. We no longer as a country can rely in any way, shape, or form on the fact check websites. Now, is there information? The fact check websites,
Agenda.
exactly. So the fact check website are run by predominantly left-wing organizations, which welcome to capitalism. I mean, whatever it is, that's fine. But here's the deal. So if you look at, does donations to Black Lives Matter group do or do not go to the DNC? Factcheck.org will tell you no. However, if you read the actual, and that's why people just look at Snopes and look at whatever, it says no. Might I add, I'm going to divert real quick because my mom actually sent something to somebody as a disproving factor saying, go ahead and go to this. Actually, if you read down in the bottom, you'll learn that they can't disprove it. So they actually just say it's false because the basics are indirect. So that's how they kind of can get you now. And the fun fact is she sent that through Instagram Messenger. It got blocked. Just throwing that out there. It said, sorry, that website link is not allowed to be done. I have the screenshot of it. But anyways, with that said, it's not been disproven. It's literally just they're able to find a way to give it some gray area. But I'll tell you, if you go, and I'll put it in the box right now, don't read the result. Read the whole article. It gives a pretty convincing argument that there is money. It goes to Act Blue. What they can't prove is exactly what candidates it goes to. So that's their gray area that they're able to get out. So no, it has not been disproven.
Going out.
I'd just like to add. So the way it works.
We got hold on, real quick, big brother. We got a couple minutes left because I do have to get off here. I promised that I wouldn't go over an hour, and I'm breaking my promise right now. So everybody, give your final thoughts. We'll start with you, Patrick.
All right. My final thought is this, and this is important to me, and I want everybody to hear this. This is big. I will not be segregated. Cash is my brother. That's never going to change. I think it's a ridiculous idea. They segregated CHOP. And this idea that we can go back to that, we do not go backwards. We go forward. Resegregating this country would be a huge mistake. And the fact that people even suggest that, I find completely ridiculous. So, Cash, wherever you go, I'm going. We're just going to have to find a place in the middle somewhere. You know, I'm not sure how it's going to work out, but we'll figure it out.
I love that support, my brother.
Go ahead, John Tisha.
I honestly just want to add, you know, the whole picture is important. Truth is important. Context is important. You have to know the whole picture before you can begin to understand. You have to be willing to open your ears, open your mind, open your understanding to whatever another person is trying to get across. Otherwise you're going to continue to believe that there's only one truth when in fact multiple truths can be true at the same time. And you'll miss the full picture unless you're willing to understand that and be willing to have an open conversation with someone and understand that their truth is their truth, your truth is your truth, but you could come in the middle and find another truth also. Period. That's what I got.
I agree. Anthony.
So last thing, again, with the whole concept of Black Lives Matter, we all know that it matters. And a lot of people are putting it up as a hashtag on their page instead of actually doing something about it. And it hurts me. And I really just want to say this, like last week was rough. I was doing an event where I was volunteering my time to be a part of something bigger than myself with 28 Black men speaking. And I got into and I was hosting it and doing all the work. And I got into a discussion later that night where I was being questioned for never putting hashtag Black Lives Matter on my page. And me being a less than part of the movement or being part of change because I wouldn't put a hashtag. And that was from somebody that had never once done anything except voice an opinion on social media. And that is what the Black Lives Matter movement has done to divide us as a group. And that is unfair and it creates zero change. So ultimately, the best thing we can do is to continue to find alternative methods and have conversations with people to try to show them the truth as much as humanly possible, and sharing Cash's story, sharing Streetlights, the way we work with Patrick, and we all work together, and John Tisha, it just needs to be shared because ultimately the media right now is winning.
Yes.
One other thought I would love to add, guys. Don't take our word for it. Look it up.
Yeah.
Do the research. Like, don't take the word of anybody as fact. It's not hard. The internet gives us access to so much information. Please look it up for yourselves and come to your own truth and find out what you think.
Right.
Because we're just, I mean, we're the, that's how we do it. I mean, we're looking it up ourselves, but please do the research, check what we're saying and learn the truth for yourself. So much of this is about people being used, and it's time for it to stop. That's why we've got to come together. That's why unity is so important, and that's why we're all here.
Careful, Cash is going to be sleeping on the couch. Go ahead.
All right. I love
And
you.
stop
I
forcing
appreciate
to
you
choose a
guys
side.
on. All right. I appreciate
Love you too, brother.
Oh man. All right. I'll catch you guys later.
Love you, brother.
Love. Okay. So check this out now. Because I need your full attention real quick. Okay. I don't want to see any more division. I'm tired of seeing the division. Yesterday, when I was out there at the park and we were doing the cookout and the mayor came out and all these different people came out and I was speaking to them and I was hearing their sides of how they felt about everything, right? Do you know people are scared right now? I didn't even think about it, but people are scared right now. People have gotten their addresses put out in this community. People have gotten their addresses put out and threatened, and all by Black Lives Matter representatives. And this is from people that I spoke with in this community. It made me angry, made me very angry, which is why I'm riding them so bad right now. Okay. I'm for unity. I am for street lights. I'm for lighting up the dark places. Now, that being said, I'm also for the Constitution, and I'm very much for America. If you're an American, and listen to what I'm about to tell you, because this is American, what I'm about to say. If you live in this country, you have rights in this country. You should not be scared to walk down your own street in your neighborhood. You shouldn't be scared when you get pulled over by police. You shouldn't be treated unfairly in a court system. You shouldn't be threatened. Okay? So any injustice, we're going to fight for across the board. But we're not going to single out one over the other. We're not going to say we're going to attack the police for police brutality and condemn all police, but not say nothing about the people that get brutalized in the community by people who live in the community. We're going to attack it across the globe. Okay? Now, if someone comes to your home, listen. Can you hear me now? Okay. If someone comes to your home and you are in fear for your life, the first thing I want you to do is call the police. That's the first thing. Call the police and make a note that you're feared for your life and you feel like somebody's outside your home. Second thing I want you to do, because you're an American, you should have a gun in your home. I want you to have your gun in your hand. Third thing I want you to do is wait somewhere in that home for the police to come and have your phone in hand. And if you're in the house alone and you know you're supposed to be alone, I want you to yell as loud as you can that you have a gun and you ain't afraid to use it. So that way, if it's family and they don't identify themselves, or if it's not family because they're not going to identify themselves, you'll know who it is. If it's somebody that you know, they come in your home, I want you to shoot them in this general area right here. I know that sounds bad, right? Because I'm for nonviolence and I'm for peace and all that, but I'm also an American. If somebody's threatening you and trying to come into your home where you live with your family and your kids and your domicile, you have the right as an American to take their life. Okay? Plain and simple. Protect your home and do not be scared. You do not be scared by threats that somebody's making over a keyboard on the internet. That's not how we do. This is the computer. They can say what they want to say. People can say whatever they want to say all day long. I don't ever want you to forget that you are a part of one of the strongest nations to ever be alive on this planet. And we have jumped over every hurdle in this country that we've ever been faced with. We went from a country of immigrants and slave owners, and we heard of racism and women inequality and homosexual inequality. We've jumped over all of it. And we're still here as America. So we are not going to let a bunch of people who came together for a cause that they don't even all agree on, and they all don't even fight over, that not even fight for. The message is different depending on what city you're in. We're not going to allow them to come in and switch how we live and how we interact with each other on the day-to-day, because we don't get ruled by fear. We don't. We never have in this country, and we're not going to start now. So I want you to take that fear out of your mind, get it away, throw it in the garbage, and remember that you're an American. You are a part of a country that overcomes adversity, adversaries and adversities. Okay? We don't have a spirit of defeat. So I don't want you to have it now. Forget what they say. Forget it. Forget what's being said. Speak your mind. They call you racist because you're white, because you speak out against something that needs to be spoke out against. Fine. I know you ain't a racist. People around you know you ain't a racist. Forget that. Just always speak from a place of love. That's the easiest thing to get somebody to shut up is call them a racist. It's like they get spooked and they're like, oh, I better not say that no more. No, speak your truth. If you're not a racist, you're not going to come off as one. If you're black and you don't agree with the movement, but you're a part of the movement because everybody else is and you don't want to get talked crazy to, they're going to call you what you want. They call me an Uncle Tom. I get called a Sambo. I get called a traitor. I get called a sellout. What the hell I sell out to? You call me Uncle Tom or Sambo. Listen, I'm not no Sambo. You can call me an Uncle Tom. I'll humbly accept that, because if you know anything about history, Uncle Tom was the one that was able to be in the house, and he had the trust of the white people and still looked out for the black people. Sambo was the one to be like, hey man, what you guys got going on? And he say, oh, we talking about freedom. We gonna get up out of here tonight. And then Sambo would be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be with you. We gonna go at 2 a.m. And then go right over there into the house and be like, hey, they talking about freedom over there, boss. And then the next day, whipping your ass. I'm not trying to whip your ass. I just so happen to be accepted by everyone that I speak to. I don't think it's because I'm an Uncle Tom. I think it's because I come off as sincere. And I want change. And I want more for my community. I want you to stop killing each other. I want you to stop being angry at things of the past that happened that we cannot change. The only thing that we could change is the here and now and moving forward. I can't go back in the past and take away the fact that we, were slaves, or our ancestors were slaves at one time. I can't change that black leaders got killed for the message that they give. I can't change anything that makes you angry from our past. The only thing that I can tell you to do to this, if you want things to change, that you can't do it with violence. You can't. It won't work. You're just going to give them another reason to kill. We got kids. We want them to grow. I'm more fearful for my kids being killed by somebody that looked like me than I am from the police. And that's a shame. And it's a fact. I'm just man enough to admit that fact. And I need you to be man enough to admit that fact. Our communities. Let's come together in our communities. Let's change what goes on in our communities. We got to start there. That being said, everybody that is a follower of Black Lives Matter, listen, I love you. You're not the problem. I'm not against you. I'm not. I'm against the people that are putting things out there to keep us divided and playing on your anger. I believe you're smarter than that. I used to follow Black Lives Matter. I'm smarter than that now. I won't allow anybody to play on my emotions to get me do what they want me to do. Because once you let somebody get you emotionally, you give them power over you. You can't give anyone power over us. Use the brain that God gave you. Know what's right. You know what's right and what's wrong. We can't burn down our own cities. We can't hate people because of what they look like. We can't fix racism by becoming racist. We got a lot of work to do. With or without you, I'm going to do this work. And if I'm effective enough in the plans that I have for streetlights, then here later you'll be able to understand why I'm doing it right now, why I'm speaking the way I am, why I'm speaking out against people I'm speaking out against. It's a battle for the top right now. If Black Lives Matter gets to the top, you ain't gonna like the world we live in. I like the world we live in right now. Just want to improve on it. That's it. That being said, you guys, I love you, and I appreciate you staying on here and watching and interacting with me. You guys have a good night, and I will see you either tomorrow or the next day on another Breaking the Barriers. You guys have a good night.